Welcome to our introductory course on Eternalism, the divine philosophy of the eternal worlds. Unit 14, Latter-day Saints and Mixed Premises. In Unit 14, we'll delve into the topic of Latter-day Saints and mixed premises. This exploration will start with a question that seeks an answer and conclude with an answer that invites further questions. Along the way, we'll revisit the three philosophical mindsets introduced in Unit 10 and explore what I believe are the 3 or 4 key influences of Western civilization, shaping our mindset as Latter-day Saints in these latter days. After the philosophical checkup, our philosophical stickman went on another walk to clear his head and reflect on the various gospel primacy issues and alternatives he had encountered. These either-or alternatives between one gospel primacy issue and another were a powerful reminder of the confusion in our day. With this in mind, his thoughts turned to the 3 philosophical mindsets discussed in Unit 10, each with its distinct and conflicting worldviews. The pre-modernists with their medieval worldview, the modernists with their secular worldview, and the postmodernists with their nihilist worldview. He wondered, as a Latter-day Saint, where do we stand? Perhaps more with the modernists, where reality is the measure of all things. But we're not secularists, he reflected. Then a thought struck him. As Latter-day Saints, if we are neither pre-modernists, postmodernists, nor secular modernists, then what are we? The answer came. We are eternalists. There's more to the story than just this realization, but it was a good beginning. So let's start there. Let's take a look at the chart from Unit 10, which diagrams the 3 philosophical mindsets of our day. This will be very helpful. But first, let's clear the lower portion of the chart to make room for our discussion on philosophical primacy issues. The first 2 points to note are these. The pre-modern mindset gives primacy to God over reality, while the postmodern mindset gives primacy over reality, not to God, but to man. Now, you might expect secular modernists to give primacy to reality over God, but with God out of the picture entirely, they instead give primacy to reality over man. This order is proper and correct as far as it goes, but as we shall see, it doesn't go far enough. And so we ask, where do we, as eternalists, fit into this framework? Let's turn to that now. The first thing to note is that both the pre-modernists and postmodernists get it wrong, while the secular modernists get it essentially right by giving primacy to reality over man. However, the key difference between modernists and eternalists is that, unlike the secular modernists, eternalists give the gospel primacy to reality over both God and man. This is no small distinction. This eternal perspective of the eternal worlds sets secularism in opposition to eternalism. While the pre-modernists get it wrong overall, they get it right to the extent that they accept the idea that reality has primacy over man. This is their saving grace, as the mixed premises they share with the modernist mindset are what keep them from sliding back into the Dark Ages. Likewise, while postmodernists also get it wrong, they, too, get it right by implicitly acknowledging that reality has primacy over man in their everyday lives, interactions, and reality-based business dealings. This, too, is their saving grace, as the mixed premises they share with modernists are what prevent the postmodern mindset from descending into complete madness and chaos. But what about eternalists? Are we entirely free from these mixed premises? Or are we also influenced by the errors and misguided ideas of the pre-modern and postmodern mindsets? Sadly, we're not immune. Let's address that failing now. Notice that as eternalists, we share mixed premises with the pre-modernist, postmodernist, and even secular modernist mindsets. This highlights a key challenge. As Latter-day Saints, we are confronted with mixed premises on nearly every major philosophical and theological issue. Many of these were exposed in the philosophical checkup, which everyone viewing this has likely completed by now. These mixed premises and the confusion surrounding gospel primacy issues remind me of an interesting observation from teaching these same topics to LDS students at BYU. on gospel primacy issues, numbered 7 through 14, our BYU students, who were mostly Latter-day Saints and returned missionaries, averaged just 54% correct, barely better than a random guess. This underscores how deeply mixed premises are ingrained in our thinking. Perhaps this is a good point to restate our primary mission. From the very beginning, this course on eternalism was designed to help Latter-day Saints resolve these issues by identifying, analyzing, prioritizing, and ultimately eliminating these mixed premises. But the first step is recognizing that they exist. That's why we created the philosophical checkup, to confront the reality that these mixed premises are not only part of our Western heritage, but also part of our Latter-day Saint heritage. Let me explain. We Latter-day Saints are a product of Western civilization, along with everything it entails, including its secular mindset. For our purposes, I want to highlight 3 key influences: the Great Apostasy, the Latter-day Restoration, and now, in our time, this postmodern madness. What this means is that we Latter-day Saints, whether we realize it or not, are shaped by mixed premises. We face the challenge of building and defending the temple of truth against the social and religious influences of the Great Apostasy on one side, and against the social and political forces of postmodern madness, which seems determined to dismantle Western civilization on the other. And of course, there's always secular humanism to contend with. Thankfully, the dominant influence in our lives is the Latter-day Restoration. Coupled with the agency we've been blessed with, we have the power to stand up as eternalists, building and defending the temple of truth against these mixed premises. To wrap up Unit 13, let's take a moment to reflect on just how common mixed premises are in our daily lives, not only as products of Western civilization, but also as Latter-day Saints. Let's revisit the Look Before You Leap primacy issue from Unit 12, using it to illustrate the clash between the modern and pre-modern mindsets in both practical and religious contexts. This clash between the practical and religious realms, between the contradictory orders to look before you leap and leap before you look, is really the everyday application of a deeper primacy issue. Which comes first, faith or reason? If you circled reason over faith in the philosophical checkup, you supported the sound and reasonable order to look before you leap. On the other hand, if you gave gospel primacy to faith over reason, you were effectively endorsing the reckless order to leap before you look. The point is, if this deeper primacy issue between faith and reason had been resolved in favor of reason over faith, then the derivative question of whether to look before you leap or leap before you look would never have arisen. With that clarified, let's move to the next example of mixed premises. In this example of mixed premises in the scientific and social realms, we meet 6-year-old Sam being wisely instructed by his father. Remember, son, your body tells you if you're a boy or a girl, not your feelings. Or, in simpler terms for Sam, what we are is more real than what we feel we are. For adults, this is a key primacy issue. Which comes first, biology or gender? Sam's father firmly affirms that biology has primacy, not one's so-called gender identity. Fast forward 5 years. At age 11, Sam is exposed to a different mindset. Gender theory, the idea that gender is a social construct, is being taught everywhere. Even Sam's friends have come to believe that gender is fluid. One activist teacher, caught up in the transgender craze, tells Sam, "Go with what feels right and change your gender." This teacher, putting gender above biology, introduces Sam to a step-by-step plan to make his body match his feelings. But not far into this process, Sam remembers his father's words, "It's your body that tells you whether you're a boy or a girl, not your feelings." This is crazy, he thought, as he threw off his blinders, climbed down the ladder, and sought help from his parents in working through these gender issues. 12 years later, Sam is happily married and overjoyed as he welcomes a baby girl into his family, a joyful ending to what could have been a tragic story. This example highlights the clash between the scientific and social realms, biology versus gender. At its core, this is a deeper primacy issue, expressed in these terms. Which comes first, nature or nurture, facts or feelings? Those who side with biology give primacy to nature over nurture, facts over feelings, while those who prioritize gender over biology give primacy to nurture over nature, feelings over facts. The point is, if society had resolved these issues in favor of nature over nurture and facts over feelings, debates around sex changes and gender identity would never have reached their current prominence. This exploration began with a question. As Latter-day Saints, if we are neither pre-modernists, postmodernists, nor secular modernists, then what are we? And now concludes with an answer. We are eternalists with mixed premises to resolve. This mission defines and drives the purpose of this course on eternalism. But as we end, this answer invites further reflection. We know eternalism is up to the task of resolving these mixed premises. The question is, are we? Thank you for participating. Join us for Unit 15 as we explore three-tier thinking, not only as a higher order of reasoning, but also as a powerful tool for resolving mixed premises and bringing clarity to your understanding of the philosophy of eternalism. In the meantime, I encourage you to revisit Unit 10, Three Philosophical Mindsets, and reflect on it with this new understanding of the difference between a secular modernist and an eternalist.